Menelaus returned to Sparta, expecting life to continue as before. Instead, the royal palace was silent. His wife was gone. So was Prince Paris. The Trojan prince he had welcomed into his home as an honored guest had broken one of the most sacred traditions in Greek society. The Greeks called it xenia, the sacred bond between host and guest, believed to be protected by Zeus himself. To violate it wasn't just a personal betrayal, it was an offense against the gods. For Menelaus, this was no longer simply about losing his wife, it was about honor. But recovering Helen wasn't something he could accomplish alone. Years before Helen married Menelaus, her beauty had attracted kings and princes from across Greece. Every powerful ruler wanted her hand in marriage, and competition among them threatened to spark a civil war. One man found a solution. Odysseus, the clever king of Ithaca, proposed that every suitor swear a solemn oath. Whoever Helen eventually chose, all the others would defend that marriage if anyone ever tried to take her away. It became known as the Oath of Tyndareus. At the time, it prevented conflict. Years later, it made conflict unavoidable. Now that Helen had been taken to Troy, Menelaus called upon every man who had sworn that promise. One by one, the kings of Greece answered. Agamemnon, ruler of Mycenae and Menelaus' older brother, took command of the expedition. Nestor, the wise king of Pylos, joined despite his age. Ajax brought the strength of Salamis. Diomedes arrived from Argos. Across Greece, warriors gathered for what would become the largest military expedition of the Bronze Age. Not everyone came willingly. Odysseus had little desire to leave his kingdom, his wife Penelope, and his infant son Telemachus for a war that could last years. According to legend, when messengers arrived, he pretended to have gone mad, hitching an ox and a donkey to the same plow and scattering salt across his fields. The visitors weren't convinced. To test him, they placed baby Telemachus directly in front of the plow. At the last moment, Odysseus turned aside to avoid harming his son. His deception was exposed. Bound by the oath, he had no choice but to join the expedition. Another hero proved even harder to find. A prophecy claimed that Troy could never be defeated without Achilles. But Achilles' mother, Thetis, knew another prophecy. If her son fought at Troy, he would win eternal glory, but never return home. Determined to save him, she disguised Achilles as a young woman and hid him among the daughters of King Lycomedes on the island of Skyros. Once again, Odysseus found the answer. Disguised as a merchant, he laid out jewelry, fine fabrics, and beautiful dresses before the royal women. Hidden among them was a single shield and spear. As the women admired the jewelry, one figure instinctively reached for the weapons. That was Achilles. His disguise was over. The greatest warrior in Greece would march to Troy. Soon, thousands of warriors and hundreds of ships assembled at the port of Aulis. Preparing to cross the Aegean Sea, everything was ready. Yet, the fleet did not move. The winds had stopped. Not a single sail could leave the harbor. The Greeks believed the goddess Artemis had withheld the winds, and the only way to appease her was through a sacrifice that would haunt their leader forever.